Hey, everybody, this is Frank Linetto, and welcome to A Time to Speak, a podcast where we are encouraging women and men, giving them a place where they can see that they have hope. They're not alone from the pain of abortion that they have in their past, and just giving resources and on how people can get help and really connect with what the Lord has for them and their purpose and the forgiveness and love of Jesus Christ. But really excited today to have our guest on, especially with Father's Day coming up in a little over, oh, coming up soon. And I wanted to have this gentleman on because he has been such an inspiration for me, and for so many men out there, because abortion is a really tough topic, obviously, and there are so many people that have been affected directly and indirectly by abortion. But what is interesting is that men seem to be cast aside. They're put aside. They're not thought of, and abortion is not just a women's issue. It's a men's issue too. It's a family issue, and we're seeing more and more men coming forward and asking for help. And we just want to shine a light on that and make sure that we're encouraging men that have abortion in their past or know somebody that has abortion in their past, that they're not alone, that there is help available. There is a wonderful, amazing God that loves them and that has a wonderful plan for their life. And we're going to have Bob Hershey on today, who has been such a help to me. He has been leading men's recovery for many years and has just got a wealth of experience and just loves Jesus and loves what he's doing in the lives of others and in his life. And we're really excited to have him on. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Bob Hershey to the podcast.
Hey,
Hey,
Frank.
Bob. So good to have you on, man. It's just a pleasure.
It's great to be here. I have really appreciated getting to know you over the last months, maybe a year or so, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
been a
been
pleasure to get
awesome.
to know you. Yeah,
So cool. Thank you. Thank you. So I really just want to kind of kick this off, and I'd love for people watching this to just hear your story and how you got started in men's
sure,
recovery and that path that led to it. Love to hear about
sure.
that.
Yeah, we're going to go all the way back, right?
Please.
So 18 years old and just into college and get pregnant and not knowing what to do, and we thought, well, what are we going to do? We know what we should do, right? But there's always this other side that says, well, you can just take care of it and nobody has to know, right? And so, fortunately for us, we ran into a doctor that said, hey, you're two young, intelligent people. Why would you not want to have this baby? And so, when we got back to the car, I kind of woke up because I don't remember where we were. I don't remember the doctor. I don't remember anything about that. And so, when we got back to the car, I told my wife now, like, hey, we need to do this the right way and we need to get married, although we already kind of messed it up a little bit. But, let's get married. So now we're 47 years in. We got 3 kids and 5 grandkids. Like the story's so much different if somebody doesn't tell me that we can do it, right? And so that's really where everything starts. And so getting into a pregnancy center was not my idea. I was out of work for a little while, and a buddy of mine says, "Hey, why don't you go volunteer at a pregnancy center?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Hey, there's a guy side to this thing." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now that's where my passion is for men and how do we raise them up to be leaders and protectors and that. And so that's really how it started. So I volunteered at a pregnancy center near me. Next thing I know, a year later, they're hiring me to be a volunteer coordinator part time. And so 5 years in after that, stepped away for a little bit and just felt God was calling me away. And then about a year and a half after that, I found out that they needed an executive director. And so I went back to the board. I said, should we talk? And they're like, yes, we need to talk. And so they hired me as executive director. And so I was there for 6 years as executive director. And during that time, what had happened was another center had said, hey, I know you guys have abortion recovery for guys. I'm going to send a guy over to you. I'm like, okay. So I connected him with our guy, but he was just so busy with work and stuff. He just didn't have the time to really meet with somebody. So, and, with guys, you can't just leave them out there. Like, no, you just can't do that. So I'm like, all right, I need to do something about that. So I went through Save One material and did some training with them and learned that. So I actually walked him through Save One. Halfway through, I get sent another guy, and so I'm walking him through. I'm like, Lord, what are you doing? Like, I don't have abortion in my past. Like, what am I doing this? But
Right.
he knew what he was doing all along, and so leading those guys through really gave me a passion for the ministry. I already had it when I saw the women walk through on the other side, and just the difference that it made with them. And now I'm seeing guys do the same thing. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's so cool to see that. Um, at the end of my time with the pregnancy center, CareNet gave me a call and said, "Hey, we want you to be on our church engagement team." And so was doing that, connecting church with the center with church, back and forth. And during that time, they also have an abortion recovery and care team, and got real involved with them. Jill, that leads that, really invited me in. And so helping with Reclaiming Fatherhood and getting that put together, doing some of the taping, so doing leadership training and those kind of things with that. And then even from there, started getting into deeper still after I retired, started getting into deeper still weekends. And because I knew there was more. And so there's 8-week things, and then there's a weekend thing. And knowing that there's so many guys out there that just don't have a clue that there's something even available for them. So that's really what drove me to even where I'm at. So it's neat how God took everything in my past
Yeah.
and brought it together at the pregnancy
Yeah.
center, taught me some new things, and then still able to do this in retirement. Like, it's the
Wow.
best.
That's awesome. I definitely want to have you talk about reclaiming fatherhood and deeper
Yeah.
still, but I want to ask this question because I think it's really interesting to me. You had a choice, and thank goodness you made, the right choice and you kept your baby. But now you're leading men and you're helping men recover from a horrible choice that they made, something that they regret, and they're just carrying on that pain. I'm curious. I want you to talk about how you can still be a blessing and help and lead and guide people through healing, even though you don't have abortion in your past. I'd like you to touch on that because I think
Yeah.
it's important.
I questioned that for a long time as I'm leading guys through. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, you don't have this in your past, and how can you have that compassion? And really, it does. That's where it comes from. It's a passion to see men healed, to walk in their healing. When I got together with Jill, who's on at CareNet, basically what she said to me, she says, "You really represent the church, because these guys have been shunned and pushed away from the church because they might have this in their background, right? And so they've been pushed away, and they don't think they can play a part at church because I have this in my background. You
Right.
play a part from the church that says, yes, we want you to be a part of the church. We want you to find healing in Christ. We want you to be a part of this, because we know when we have strong men in church, we have a strong church. And so that's really what helps me understand, like, yeah, I do play a part, right? I play a part from the church side and accepting them back in.
That's that's good. I'm thinking about that. Like it's you're coming from a place of I'm here to help because I love the Lord, and and it's a place of non-judgment.
Mhm.
You don't have it in your past, but you're right in the middle of it. You're in the weeds with these men, um, looking and needing that healing, and you're helping them. You don't have it in your past, but you're coming from a place of love and no judgment.
Mhm.
I hear what you're going through. I've seen other people who have gone through it, and I'm here to tell you that there is a way through this. That's really good. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the part that I just love seeing them walk through the healing. One of the things that I continue to say is that guys can only serve as much as they've been healed.
Mhm.
Because if I haven't gone through healing, I cannot let you in because you can't find out my secret, right? And so as if I go into serving somewhere, I'm only going to serve so much because you can't get close to me. I can't let you know who I am, who I really am, right? I mean, that's what
Right.
goes through our heads as guys. And so for me, it's how can we help them heal and then really be active in their church and really serve their church well.
Right.
And
Right.
when they do that.
Man, that's awesome. So I want to turn to this really, really awesome study, Reclaiming Fatherhood. I want to speak to that a little bit because that's something that I went through this. Um, I had an abortion, helped my girlfriend have an abortion. I was 17 years old and just carried it for decades and decades and decades. I won't go into that whole detail, but um, going through this and walking through it, it was a one-on-one, and I did it virtually. I thought, how's that going to work? But it worked. And I really committed to doing the work as hard as it was, but it just completely took the shackles off and helped me understand and receive from God, I love you. I know what you've done. I know everything about you, and I love you with all my heart. And no, getting that into our heart is the key. And this really was amazing. Reclaiming Fatherhood was just, I know you were involved with it. I'd love for you to talk about that and how it really kind of hits on those points, but we don't want to sugarcoat this thing either. This isn't some happy playtime, hey, everybody just share and everybody's good. This is it gets very intense, but it's so needed and important. And I realize that if I'm willing to make that commitment, I know Jesus made a commitment to us on the cross. He said, I'm doing all of this for you because I love you. I need to make a commitment so that I can understand and receive what Jesus is saying about me.
Yeah.
And I'd really love for you to touch on reclaiming fatherhood, please.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just want to say up front, like reclaiming father isn't the everything. It's not
Sure.
the all be all, right? Because there's so many other programs that are out there. But what we always tell people is that take what you like of reclaiming fatherhood, and if there's other pieces you like of others, fine, do what works, and so do that. But basically, the way reclaiming fatherhood came about, Jill had just walked through Forgiven and Set Free and redoing that material, and she was charged with doing Reclaiming Fatherhood. And basically, I took a book that Guy Condon had written. He used to be the president of CareNet also many years ago. Anyhow, we took his book, and there were four guys that were post abortive that were on this team. There was myself and another guy that was from a pregnancy center, and then Jill. And basically, we would get together and structure the book how it should be structured, and basically took a chapter and said, let's move this one over here, move this one over here, and did those kind of things, and then really made it a workbook, because the first edition was more like a storybook, and so we really made it a workbook to walk through, and then added scripture, where it really mattered in there too, and then to ask the questions and to ask the guys to walk through it themselves, and so that's really how it came about. And then just being able to walk the guys through it is where kind of went to from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I getting to go through that and now working with you with other guys has been really, it's just been amazing for me to see men commit and the this brotherhood that is formed, seeing this group of men, perfect strangers, um,
Mm.
sharing their story and sharing their pain and sharing their struggles, and seeing them encourage each other and finding their healing and getting to the end and seeing a real change, not just seeing that spiritual change in these guys, but even physical, seeing their expressions, their body language, just their tone and how they were speaking. Gradually, we're just seeing that, and it's it's such an encouragement. And I know that that's the Holy Spirit saying, "See, I told you. Just keep going, keep going. I got this." It's been really cool to see these men really dive in and commit to it and start helping each other.
Mhm.
It's I think what this is all about is having this thing keep growing that way. And you mentioned this about reclaiming fatherhood and so many other amazing studies and programs out there. What I like is I know men, yeah, we're structured and we're, we like to follow directions and accomplish things, but I think the biggest part is really just having good conversation. Um, it doesn't have to be this rigid step-by-step instructional class. It's not trigonometry. It's not a formula.
Good
It's
thing for me.
really, yeah, me too. Um, we're just men talking, and I think the biggest thing is just being honest with ourselves and with each other. It was really awesome to see.
Yeah. Yeah. There's things that are in there that there's questions, those kind of things. And you don't have to go through every question, but really asking them, like, what stood out to you? What was the
Right.
biggest point? What made the biggest difference for you in this chapter?
Yeah.
And really allowing them to talk about those things. And because I don't know what they're going through, because every story is different. And
Yeah.
so I remember there was one guy that I was taken through, and like every chapter was, here was my sticking point. We got stuck there. Like, okay, well, God, you're gonna have to do something because I'm not sure exactly what to say or how to say it, but and then we move on. And he was like, oh, okay, I get that. Now we can move on, to the next part. But it's taking time with them also and just listening to where you at, like what's going on right now, what's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart, and let's talk about that. And it was funny with it. Well, that group of guys you talk about, this 5 guys that we had this last time, just allowing them to minister to one another,
Yeah.
and it was
That
just
was awesome.
amazing. Some of their stories just kind of meshed, and each one looking out for another one, and having some encouragement for each other. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think the thing that we want people watching this to understand is, not everybody has the same experience, obviously. They have abortion in their past, but the path getting there, the aftermath, the decision, all the details, so different. And that's normal. Um,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be your story that matches everyone else's story. It just needs to be something that you're willing to share, because there are men that are struggling with abortion in their past and they didn't want it to happen,
Mhm.
and then there are men that really pushed for it and convinced the woman to have it. And then there are men that they both decided to do it. It's just such a varying degrees, but that doesn't matter. The pain is the pain. I mean, if you regret what happened and you're carrying that pain, then that's what this is for. That's what Reclaiming Fatherhood is for. Quite frankly, that's what our ministry is for. Polly and our ministry, and our tribute project. That's what it's for, is to give people the opportunity to understand that they're not alone and that there is a path to healing, and making sure that it's centered around Christ. And even if you're not a believer, you're not sure, that's okay. Um, just partake, be part of what we're doing. That it's not a pressure packed situation where you have to do this in order to do that. We're just having good conversation with guys talking about our experience. I think that's the biggest, most important thing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. And just taking that time with them to discover what their backstory is, right?
Yeah.
And allowing them to share that. And even with there's some married couples that have made an abortion decision together. And how do you walk through that, like after that, and what does your marriage look like even after those kind of things? And so this really helps give perspective to that too, and just
Yeah.
being able to talk to those things. Yeah.
That's awesome. So we've got Reclaiming Fatherhood, and I'd really like you to touch on Deeper Still, because it's, the goal is the same, but it's a very, very different approach, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's so with deeper still. I knew these weekends were around. I had heard about them. I had never done one, and just wanted to figure out, like, okay, how do I get involved, with something like that? And so I actually I was invited to do a Rachel's Vineyard weekend to begin with, down in Columbus. And I was like, I don't know anything about this. I don't know what I'm doing, and it was just kind of like, here we go. And here's your manual and let's go. Like, okay. And, but I mean, it's so intense for just one weekend, and seeing the move of God on these people's lives was just incredible. And so I knew there was a Deeper Still weekend, which Deeper Still kind of fits more with my theology and background and stuff. Anyhow, I mean, I love what Rachel's Vineyard does, because it's doing the exact thing, that Deeper Still does, just a little bit differently. And so Deeper Still, I contacted the lady that runs it out in Northeast Ohio. And I said, hey, I'd like to, would be curious about being on your team or whatever. And she says, I've been praying for a guy, and you're probably that guy. Like, well, cool. And so get on a weekend, what is it, a year and a half ago, I guess it was. And, first guy they've ever had on a weekend. And so we had another guy that was there, and there was another guy. So I kind of like shadowed a guy, that I knew. And so shadowed him the first weekend, and we're helping guys on that weekend, and just saw the transformation. Like, wow, this is just amazing of what happens in a short weekend. And so definitely knew I wanted to be a part of the next one. Had invited another guy that I knew needed abortion healing, and so he came. And next thing you know, he's helping me lead another retreat, up in Michigan. And the guy that was on this other weekend, he's now leading in Michigan. Like, it's just so cool how God is calling guys in, and then they're stepping into leadership with this.
Yeah.
And so there's, with Deeper Still, there's a group of guys that get together once a month, and it's a Zoom meeting that we have. And I think when I first started, probably a little over a year ago, with these guys, just praying with them, there's maybe 5 or 6 of us that were praying, and we're just praying for more guys. And hey, when's your retreat? When's your retreat? How can I help? Those kind of things. How can we pray for each other? And so doing all that. And then now we have like 16, 17, 18 guys on this Zoom call that are leading men's ministry with their Deeper Still weekends. And so we just come together and pray together. We recently had a training get together, whatever you want to call it. It was, well, most of us will say men's retreat. They call it a men's advance. And because guys don't retreat.
Okay.
So anyhow, it was neat being with these guys. There's guys from Hawaii, and guys from Michigan, and guys from Florida. I mean, guys from all over the states, and getting together and just worshiping together and doing what we do with Deeper Still. It's an amazing ministry. It really is. I just love being a part of it.
That's awesome. I love that. So with Deeper Still, it's you're getting a lot done in a short amount of time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so there's definitely a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say would you say that there's a difference in where someone is at on which they would, it would make more sense for them?
Yeah, I was, as you were at, I knew you were going to kind of go there and ask something like that. And you know what? And probably for some people, it's like, maybe I just need to go into the intensive and just get on the other side, right? And then maybe go back and do an 8-week study. Or it might be somebody that did an 8-week study and say, man, I'd love to do a weekend. Like, there's always, I mean, this is what I hear from guys and girls. There's always more healing. Always more healing.
Such a great point.
So whether it's in 8 weeks or whether it's done in a weekend, there's always more to do. So whether I go through one first or the other first, I don't think it really matters. I think God knows, what you need to walk through first. And so, but I think there's always a step for more healing. There's things with like unbound groups of, sexual abuse in the past and those kind of things that, guys can walk through too. So there's more to be done than just a weekend or an 8-week session.
That's good. I like that because it's your point of, the healing never stops.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
growing never stops.
Mhm.
And why wouldn't you want to continue um, in that down that path? It doesn't mean
Mhm.
it's like, well, I did this, so I can't do that. It doesn't disqualify you. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. That's an encouragement for people thinking of, making that choice.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, right?
No.
Just step
Yeah.
forward.
Exactly. And that's what we tell guys, right? Like step in, let's go on a walk, right?
Figure it out.
Let's do this together. Because guys are like, I don't
Yeah,
know. But
yeah,
if you walk with somebody, right? If
yeah,
I get a buddy that I can walk with, I'm more likely going to do it. And so really encouraging them hey, I'll be there. I want to walk with you. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one of the biggest things, as guys, nobody, guys don't like to show their struggles, their weakness,
Yeah.
and they keep things kind of bound up, and because it's a pride thing, obviously, but um, when they realize, man, there's other dudes that they're going through the same stuff that I'm going through.
Yep.
Why do
Yep.
I need to keep, trying to just keep
Right.
this stuffed in and not deal with it and distract myself? I think that big point of I'm not the only one. I can't
Mhm.
be the only one. So I
Yeah.
need to trust that I can just talk and
Mhm.
know that they're going to talk, and I'm going
Yeah.
to find that comfort of, hey, we're dealing with the same similar stuff.
Mhm.
What are you going through? How did this make you feel? What did you do when this happened? And there's nothing more powerful than your testimony, and that's what I got to see, with this last group, is when
Yeah.
people are sharing what they've been through, what they're going through, what they're struggling with. You see these other guys, their faces light up, like, and it's like, me too, me too. And
Mhm.
then it just starts kind of just building on, and it's all encouragement, all encouragement. So I just want to really make the point that you're not the only one. And if you will take that step of faith and say, you know what, I'm just going to press in
Yep.
and just do this because I don't want to feel like this anymore.
Yep.
Just watch, just
Yep.
wait, just see what happens. You'll be amazed at what you see happen. Um,
Absolutely.
it's
Yep.
really, really incredible.
It
The
is.
other thing that I'm thinking about, Bob, is what happens after that, right? I'd love to hear any examples you have of people that you've led through this healing and what they're doing now and what it opened up for them. I'd love to hear examples of that.
Yeah. One of the first guys I led through, he basically said, you know what? I could never let the guys at church know my background and stuff. So I would only do the little things around church. I couldn't do much there. After he walked through his healing, he's now on his worship team at church. Like he's leading in worship. Like
Wow.
that's the difference that it makes. It allows him to be free and to do that. Like, again, one of the guys that just went through the Deeper Still weekend, he was my co-lead up in Michigan just a few weeks ago, and now he's the go-to guy up in Michigan. Like these are the things that are happening with the guys, and even
Yeah.
the guys on the guys that we just had that walked through. There's a guy that came to know the Lord. Like,
Yeah. That was
how
awesome.
awesome is that? I
So
remember all
cool.
the rest of the guys were like, yes, it was amazing. And then when he shared his story, one of the other guys has said, yeah, I've been talking to my pastor about getting baptized. And he just got baptized, what, like 2 weeks ago? Something like
Yep.
that, which was
Yep.
pretty, and we were able to watch,
Yeah.
like so awesome. But
Yeah.
it's like, that's the difference that healing, through Christ makes. Like he opens up doors for you and he opens up this healing that now you can walk in this freedom that you never had before. When
Yeah.
you talk about, that there's guys that, yeah, I'm the only one out there. There are 65 million abortions. You didn't have every one of those, right? Like
That's right.
there were other guys
That's
involved.
exactly right.
So,
Yeah.
so like, come on, So, when guys hear that there's something like this, to walk through healing. I was telling you earlier, we had a couple of counselors over for doing vacation Bible school. We're hosting them at our house, and I was telling the kids what am doing in retirement and stuff. And he was like, I never heard of this. I never heard of that before. Like, I
Mhm.
didn't know anything about that. There was one time I went up to he was like an associate pastor at one of the churches and told him what I was doing. I said, I'm doing abortion recovery for men. He was like, you're doing what? What is that? I said, abortion recovery for men. He says, what does that mean?
Wow.
Like, you realize that the numbers are,
Wow.
1 in 5, right, in your congregation at the time of their abortion were attending church at least once a month. If that's the case, I can go down a row and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, two,
Yep.
three, four, 5, right? We've got to understand the numbers, and there's so much more healing that needs to take place. And so this is why this kind of a podcast is so important, to get the message out and to
Right.
help others understand that, hey, I am not the only one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. I think about what other, what that encourages other people to do. And maybe
Mhm.
it's not um abortion recovery, but you know what? Maybe there's been a wedge or an issue with children that you do have. Maybe you're
Mhm.
holding back from because of that pain that you have from that past decision and that past abortion, and when you're free of those things and you know that you are forgiven and you're loved, um, it releases everything, not only in the church, if you're in your involvement with church, but with your family, with your friends, your loved ones, work, all those things, because that's not a compartmentalized thing that it only affects this. It affects everything, right? Um, and to see what people are doing afterwards is so amazing. It's just, to me, it's just the example, another example of how God works and what he is always encouraging us to do, which is trust him. Just trust him. And he's already taken care of everything for us. Jesus did it all, right? He did it all on the cross already. We just need to receive what he's got for us. And
Absolutely.
that's, part of what Polly and I do with our tribute project. It's something that evolved and it kept working. Polly shared her story, and wrote a book for women, to find that healing from abortion in their past. And then it turned into, let's get letters, because part of the women's, forgiven and set free is writing that letter. A lot of healing studies, writing that letter to your child in heaven, and giving that child a name. And now we're doing that, and we're traveling all over the country exhibiting this artwork and drawing it people in, and then reading the letter, and it's like, oh, that's what this is. Where did that come from? It came from taking that step and saying, I can't do this on my own anymore. I need help. And then God just opens these doors that you never thought you'd ever be in front of. It's just amazing. So we're encouraging, we've been encouraging women, and now we're encouraging men. Write your letter. If you haven't done it before, just write what's coming from your heart. It's anonymous, and that step, you can help somebody else take that step when they see the impact and read and hear and look and feel that impact. The Holy Spirit just stirs them. Now it's your turn. It's your time. You need to be free of this. So that's all these things that just keep evolving. Is just amazing what God does, isn't it?
It is. Yep. Yeah. I just recently saw somebody sent me a picture of their picture that
Oh,
that
nice.
she that Polly had done, and just a little bit of the letter, and kind of some highlights of the letter and how she took that and made that picture. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was amazing. It was so beautiful. It was like really, really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he uses the gifts we have, and he just does amazing things with it. It's just
Yeah.
it's pretty awesome.
It is. It is. And great to be a part of too, right?
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yep.
it is. I'm looking forward to this next group that's coming up, and
Yeah.
again, we're talking about this because we really want this geared towards men, because guys, there's so much out there and available.
Yeah.
Just a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
They don't
Right.
realize, and that's what we're doing. We want to get the word out that there's help available, there's support available. There's so much that God has for you.
Mhm.
If you just take that step and reach out and say, I need some help. It's amazing what will happen when we just
Yeah.
press in and say, God, just take me where you want me to go, and take the stuff off my shoulders, please. Right?
Yep. You're talking about, doing this for Father's Day. And, a lot of guys have a rough time at Father's
Yeah.
Day, like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do? Right. And so, when we think about, there's really lost fatherhood, like that's what the Reclaiming Fatherhood is for, is to reclaim what you've lost. Right. And God will give those things back to you. And as you walk through the healing. So, if that's you that's watching and saying, man, I really need to do this. And maybe I need to do it for my family. Maybe I need to do it for myself. Maybe I need to do it for my wife, whoever it is. Like, man, just take the step, right? And
Yeah.
move in and just admit that, yeah, I need help.
It's awesome, Bob. I could not think of a better way to finish that off, with you, that encouragement, Bob. Such a pleasure to have you. It
Yeah.
has been so
Yeah.
awesome getting to know you, to call you my friend and my mentor. Um, you're an amazing blessing, and I just really appreciate you, appreciate your heart, and I'm just looking forward to more stories of victory and
Amen.
freedom, and
Yep.
can't wait for what he has next for us, right?
Exactly. Yep. And right back at you, brother. Yeah. Appreciate working with you. It was amazing I've never had a co-lead before. And to have a co-lead that had abortion in the past, I'm like, oh my gosh, you added so much to this group. So thank you for being
Appreciate
a
that.
part. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you. Everyone, thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll find this podcast encouraging, and we'll have notes and resources available for you on links, with the links that we add when we publish this. And just thank you for being here. And Bob, thank you again for everything you do. And God bless you and your whole family. Thank you so much.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Whether you're on a journey of personal healing or seeking to understand the experiences of others, A Time to Speak podcast offers a space to reflect, grow, and be reminded that you're not alone. Join us next time as we embrace the power of hope, healing, and transformation that only comes through Jesus. To get involved and learn more about our project, visit us at thetributeproject.com and see how you can make a difference in the lives of others.